Now, you heard a lot from Glenn tonight about the First Amendment, about free speech, about the Bill of Rights. And our First Amendment, as you well know, says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. This foundation of freedom is what makes us who we are as Americans. This foundation of freedom, for me, is deeply ingrained in who I am, both as a soldier and as an American. That oath that I took to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, is one that is seared into my heart. Now, I know we have many veterans here in the hall tonight, many who are watching from home, those of you who have worn or still wear the uniform. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know how serious we take this oath. And like the many great Americans that we've had the privilege of serving alongside, the great Americans who have come before us, upon whose shoulders we stand, we are united in this unwavering commitment to freedom. We recognize that while we may disagree with what you say, we are willing to lay our lives down to defend your right to say it. That is freedom. And that's the core of who we are as a nation. It is what makes our country that shining city on the hill. So as long as we're committed to this foundation of freedom that's enshrined in our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, we can recognize our differences and work together based on that common ground. Coming from that common foundation of freedom, we can overcome the great obstacles and challenges that we face. But if we are not committed to this freedom that is so clearly spelled out in the Bill of Rights, we are doomed to fail as a country. Unfortunately, we have too many Americans, including leaders in positions of great power in our country, who are not at all committed to upholding the Constitution. We have many Americans who don't even know what the Bill of Rights are. They think free speech is something that should only be left to those who agree with them, saying, hey, if you know what, if your speech offends me or if it offends anyone, then you should not be allowed to say it. This is where we are as a country. We have too many people in positions of power whose foremost responsibility is to protect our freedoms and uphold our God-given rights, and yet they are the ones who are actually trying to take these rights away from us. This is the biggest threat to our country. It is not coming from some foreign country. It is coming from power elite here at home and their co-conspirators in the mainstream media and the security state who are working to undermine our freedoms from within. Now, just the latest strategy and tactic that they're using is to try to undermine our free speech by taking it upon themselves to say they've got the responsibility to protect us from so-called misinformation. So basically, they're saying that they're going to protect us from that which they claim is not true. The notion that we must just blindly accept and follow as truth that which the government or those in power tells us is true goes against the very essence of our Constitution and Bill of Rights. This was created as a resounding rejection of the reign of kings and churches and authorities. There's a reason the preamble of the Constitution begins with, "We the people." There's a reason our Declaration of Independence says that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Why is it important that we say these words? Why is it important that we remember them, that we actually understand why they serve as the bedrock of this country. The reason why it's important is because in defiance of the Constitution, we now have leaders in our government working with their mouthpieces in the mainstream media and big tech, doing exactly what our founders rejected. And they're doing so backed by the most lethal force on earth, as they appoint themselves as the sole authority and voice of truth, of information. They get to decide what is true and what is false. They get to decide what is information or misinformation. And they expect we, the people, to just blindly accept and follow. This is where we're at today. It is in direct opposition to the Constitution that the power elite is actively suppressing voices, opinions, and information that they don't like. That those who dare to even question the authority are accused of spreading misinformation and are therefore targeted and smeared and canceled and silenced. We've seen their playbook over and over again. Discredit and censor anyone who challenges them. Why? Because they know that their propaganda will not hold up to scrutiny. That rather than engage in debate on substance, or even answer very simple questions about their policies, they instead immediately resort to smears and name-calling. I'm sure you've heard them all before. I certainly have, like today. Tito's got his hand raised. Russian asset, white supremacist, bigot, racist, extremist, traitor.